I was living in Ballarat, Victoria. There was Mum and an older brother, I and my sister. And we came to this house and it was all boarded up. There was no glass or windows, it was all boarded up. And I said to Mum, why are we here? And she said, we are going to live in this house because no one else wants this house. And of course this house was condemned. You know what it means when the house is condemned. It's not fit to live in. But we had nowhere else to go, so we moved in. We lived, Mum, my brother, Mum, I and my younger sister. And we lived on charity. We were very, very poor. And when Mum married Dad, she was cut off from her family. So we had no friends and no relatives, no one else to go to. We were just all there on our own. And it was just a matter of each one of us surviving and just getting through each day as we could. And so I was very lonely. I was without friends. I was scared. I was just felt many times that I was abandoned. But anyway, we survived. We survived one day at a time, and we just kept on going. But I was about 5 years of age, and Mum said I had to go to school. And then I realised that I had a big problem. I had an incurable disease called psoriasis. I was covered from head to toe with these ugly sores like chicken pox. And everyone at school called me names and made my life very, 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 very sad and unbearable. Talking about me behind my back, whispering about me, avoiding me, not wanting to be near me, wanting to play with me, anything. And I had a very difficult time in school. Even the teachers, when they came in and they saw the state that I was in, they said to me, what are you doing here? You better go home, we don't want you here, looking like that. But if you know anything about this condition called psoriasis, I want to tell you that it is incurable. I tried many cures. Some were pretty bizarre, but I tried so hard to get rid of them, because being a girl, to be disfigured is not very healthy, not very good. But anyway, on one evening, on the 13th of November 1954, I was reading the local newspaper, and of course we never went anywhere. We had no money, we had no friends, we never went anywhere, just past the front gate and off to school. But on the 13th of November 1954, I read in the back of the paper that there was a Chinese lady coming to town. I can't remember very much about what she was going to talk about, but I decided, because there was nothing else to do, and Mum always went to bed at 6 o'clock and closed the door, and that was the end of the evening, that was the end of the day. So Mum and I and my sister, we all slept together, but Mum closed off at 6 o'clock every night. So I thought I'd go down to this little hall down in the centre of town and hear what this Chinese lady had to say. I had no idea what she was going to talk about, but I just thought, well, I can get myself down there and without any trouble. So then, for the very, very first time, even though I'd been to Sunday school and church since 4 years of age, it was the first time that I'd heard about the love of Jesus, and that Jesus died on the cross so that I could be his friend and I could be part of his family. It was amazingly good news to me to think that somebody really loved me and somebody really cared and someone was going to be there for me for all times. So I said, in my simple little way as a young girl, I said, I have nothing much to offer you. My body is covered in sores, my body is sick, my mind is troubled, I'm frightened, I'm scared, I'm ashamed, I'm riddled with guilt, and I don't have anything. But the little bit that I have, I'm quite willing to give it to you, and I can make one promise, that I'll be a good remember, I met a few friends from school there, and they sang this song, "I'm richer than a millionaire, just because he cares. Goodbye to poverty, goodbye to cares, and I'm richer than a millionaire." And they sang that song, and I thought, yes, I do feel richer than a millionaire because I have a friend, and this friend has promised that he'll be with me always, and he'll be there for me, and what more could I ask for? I didn't want anything else, I just wanted a friend. And so time went on, and then a little while went by, and then some young guys came to the church from the Air Force camp. There was about 4 of them, and there was one guy that had a car, and so the most important thing was that he could bring all these guys to the church because he had a car, and so it was quite a way from the end of town down to this little meeting hall, and so he had a car, and so these men, these 4 young guys, came into the church. Well, this young guy had to share his room with 4 other guys, which wasn't very good. But that night, he decided that he'd give his heart to the Lord, and he did. And so I thought, well, he's about my age, and maybe we could find something to talk about, something in common. I don't really want to be in my house after dark because it's not really that pleasant, and he didn't want to be in his room with 4 guys, and so we decided that we'd get together as much as we could, and the only thing we could talk about was the Lord, because in those days you were never allowed to go to the movies, to dances, to pictures, anything. It was very, 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 very rigid, very rigid church, but with no makeup, no cutting of your hair, no wearing long trousers, nothing like that. It was very rigid. But never mind, these 4 guys came into the church, and it wasn't long, and this guy over here, he got saved, and we formed a friendship. We said, well, look, and we have one thing in common, we both love God, and I think that we could spend some time talking about Him. So almost every night we got together, and we talked about God. No monkey business, no funny business. It was very serious talk, spiritual talk, and so we got along fine, and he understood me, and I understood him. And then one night while we were out together in his little car, GOX 397, and he said to me, "I want to pray for you. I'd like to pray for you." And I said, "Oh, don't be silly." I said, "I've been praying for every evangelist that I know of, and everybody that I know of, and nothing's happening. But if you want to pray for me, well, that's fine. I'll be very courteous and to go ahead and pray." And so he prayed for me, and instantly, I was healed. Instantly, just like that. I was instantly healed. There wasn't a mark on my body where the sores had been. I had them in my eyebrows, I had them in my hair, I had them in my ears, I had them everywhere, and it was all gone. It was all gone. Thank God. So that was 2 miracles, 2 wonderful miracles that had already happened early in my life. And so another thing happened, which was very interesting. Margaret was at the church. This is my husband now, 61 years, and he was at the church one Saturday night, and I was home with the children, and he met a lady friend there called Joanne, and he came back and he rang and he said, "I'm bringing Joanne home. She's an interesting lady, and she's got an interesting story to tell." Well, Joanne was a wonderful Christian lady, and she had the word of knowledge, and she had lots of other spiritual gifts, and she lived with us for about 3 months because we were going through a crisis. We picked our son out of the Parramatta pool. He nearly drowned, and we lost him 10 years later, and our daughter was pregnant, and there was only 1 car and 1 driver. So I'd go off with her to the hospital, and she'd go and do something else, and we'd work together. We went door knocking, we knocked on doors, and she'd say hello, and then she'd start telling the people all about their life, and then they'd say, "Oh, come in." So then we'd come in, and we sit there and she'd give them the gospel. And she was a wonderful friend, and she stayed with us for quite a while. Then one morning when we got up, she was gone. We never found her. We don't know where she went.
That's right.
We've never saw her again. But she was like an angel that came to us
Sounds like an angel.
at a time when we had a great need. Right. Okay. The third miracle, there's lots of miracles, but this one was that one day we were in my house at Carlingford, and that was a blessing from God. God had given to us his house for $17,500, a brand new house, and having 4 children and 1 breadwinner, we never thought we'd ever own a new house. But anyway, God provided, and we had this new house. One day I was there, and I guess it was the Holy Spirit, but a voice that said to me, "Come inside, I need to talk to you. We've got some things we need to talk about." So I went inside and I took a pen and a paper and I sat down, and he began to take me right back in time, right back to about 5 years of age, right back in time. And all these scenes came before me of people that had hurt me, people that had been cruel to me, people that had called me names, people that had rejected me and abandoned me. And as each scene came before me, he put his hand on it and said, "Today you will no more have the pain and of these circumstances, but you will have the memory." And so we went along and right up until that present time. And so we went, and that was a wonderful miracle that God could heal me, heal my mind, because we were married in 1960, but I had no voice. I couldn't speak to people. I couldn't approach people. I was afraid because people had been so nasty to me, and I just couldn't talk to people. If I saw somebody coming towards me, I would run away like a little scared rabbit because I just couldn't face it. If you're not quite the same as everyone else, people will stare at you, and I couldn't bear people staring at me. And so I was very, very frightened and very scared. But after this experience, he said to me, you've been so bound down with the negatives in your life that today I've come to set you free, and you will rise, you will lift your head up high, and you will no more be afraid. I have given you a new name, which is the name that I call you by, and you are part of my family, and I'm going to work in your life and do a new thing. And my self-image was so bad that I couldn't go to the shops and buy myself anything or do anything. But from this miracle, God really set me free. And from that time, I have traveled the world. I've been to many places, and I became a teacher. I became a singer. I've been working for 19 years in the retirement village as a pastoral carer. We've had 5 children. We have 6 grandchildren and 5 great-grandsons. Yes.
Wow.
So I had this visitation, and I just want to tell you that as we went back in time, I saw lots of scenes that were not very pleasant, but he put his hand on it and he said, "Now are you clean through the word that I have spoken unto you?" And from that day, I began to rise up in my spirit. I love the Lord dearly, but no one ever talked about these issues in those days, but the great psychiatrist knows how to deal with these issues, and he tells us in his word that he knows our thoughts, and he knows every word that's on our tongue, even before we speak. And he said he saw us being formed in our mother's womb, all the little bits being put together, and to him we are very, very precious. And so this was really wonderful wonderful, wonderful miracles. First, that I found a friend in Jesus, and that he promised to be with me, and he's cleaned up my life. And then he cleaned up my body, he healed my body, and made me whole. And then the third thing, that he's sorted out my emotional issues. I had no one I could talk to. I just kept it all inside, but he knew. And that day in Carlingford, in that little room in my kitchen, he sorted me out. And you know, I have no fear of people anymore. I can go anywhere, and I've travelled, and I've been a singer, and I've shared my story, and I've sang in lots of places for lots of different areas, and I've been able to share my story. And just one story was that 2 years ago I went to China, and I love the Chinese people. I went to China with my friend, and it was the time when they have the Mooncake Festival, and there were all the people came together at the house, and it was 9 o'clock in the night, and I couldn't understand their language, so I went to bed. And my friend said, you've got to come quickly, you've got to share your story. And so I shared my story, and I told them about my healing, not knowing that there was a man sitting right opposite me who was absolutely covered in psoriasis. And I thought, God, if you took me to China for one reason, that was a good enough reason to share my story with that man. And so it was really, really wonderful how God has worked in my life. That was a long time ago that happened, but I'm no longer the person that I was. I'm no longer ashamed. I'm no longer lacking in confidence, because I know who I am, and I know who I belong to, and my confidence is in Him. And we moved on to become a community teacher, and singing and all sorts of things. And I want to tell you too, how that God has really blessed us as a family. My husband just had a very meager job, and I was always at home with the four children, and there wasn't a great lot of money, but I can tell you that God is a great provider. And He says that, you know, He never sees the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And you know, He's promised, He says in Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I could go on and tell you how God has so wonderfully provided for us over 60 years. And you know, one time we needed a car, and car had just died, and we needed a car, and we said, well, we just pray. So we prayed that God would somehow provide for us, and within half an hour, somebody rang up and said, we want to give you a new car. We've got a car in the garage, we're not using it. Would you like a new car? So God gave us a new car. God gave us a new house. We have lacked nothing. He's so good. He's so generous, you know. And he's a good father, a good dad, and He cares for His children. And He said He never sees the righteous forsaken, or his seed begging bread. He said, and so it's so wonderful that He has so wonderfully provided for us. And so I want to just let you hear this song. I don't know whether you know the song by Celine Dion, but I came across this song the other day, and I can't sing it because I don't know the tune, but the words are just so beautiful, and I wrote them out. I got onto the computer and we wrote them out. And I just want to finish my little story with this words. And this is what she said in her song. You were my strength when I was weak, my voice when I couldn't speak. You lifted me up when I couldn't reach, believed in me when I lost my faith. For all the times you stood by me, I'm forever grateful. For all the truth you made made me see, for all the joy you brought to me, for all the wrongs that you've made right, for every dream for every dream you made has come true. I'm forever grateful. For all the love I found in you, I'll be forever grateful. You're the one who holds me up and never lets me fall. You're the one who sees me through it all. My inspiration when I